There have been many wrestlers sold off of the idea that they're unbeatable freight trains that will run over anyone in mere seconds. And if you're like me, you tend not to care for those of this ilk. But admittedly, that can be a bit short-sighted at times. For as many squash monsters as there have been, there are also a good portion of them that are far better than they get booked. This holds especially true after watching them dominate for a long period of time, only to become relegated as a total joke after years of service. Not only do the wrestlers themselves deserve better, but so do we, the fans. After getting invested in a series of feuds and watching some of our most beloved wrestlers get squashed, we don't need to see the squasher get completely chumped out over and over again. And this has happened way too many times, as there are more than just a few squash monsters who have earned my sympathy. Which is exactly the topic of this episode. Because today, Dave knows 7 squash monsters that deserve better booking right now. Now for clarity's sake, this list isn't just about big wrestlers who don't get pushed like they should. This is about wrestlers who at some point in their careers were booked as barely more than just mere punch-kick machines that normally had microwave matches and they always dominated. And sadly, in that time, they showed that they had some skills beyond what booking allowed them to do. And that's exactly when I started to get frustrated about seeing their pushes disappear. Now yes, this is a very specific type of wrestler that I'm looking for here, and oddly, there have been a lot of these wrestlers to befall this fate in the WWE in just recent memory alone. So I decided to focus my list only on the past few years, and without further ado, why don't we just get this list started? Dana Brooke. Well, it was not for very long. There was a time in NXT when Dana Brooke appeared like she was going to get booked like the way Asuka has been. And while she's never won the NXT's women's title, her somewhat early main roster call-up made her look like she was going to be a force to be reckoned with within the Revolution. However, that soon proved to be untrue. Serving as Charlotte's lackey and never getting her chance at revenge, Dana just kind of fizzled out. Even when it seemed like Dana's face turn was inevitable, it soon got swept under the carpet like it never even happened. And even after Charlotte moved to SmackDown, Dana still ended up holding onto a lackey position, but now it's for Titus Worldwide, which is sadly the most we've seen of her on TV as of late. Samoa Joe. Those who have followed Samoa Joe's career know that he is surprisingly agile and fast for a man of his size. Not only that, but he does have a plethora of holds at his disposal. But if you look at certain parts of his career, especially his early run in NXT, he was used as little more than a no-selling puncher who hits his finisher for the win within mere minutes, making some fans wonder if he still had it anymore, or if time and age had finally gotten the better of him. But then, his matches with Shinsuke Nakamura showed that the Ring of Honor Joe was still there. Now the reason why he doesn't rank higher on this list is because he was only a squash monster for a short period of time in his career, and on top of that, he is still being treated rather well on Raw. But I think many of his strongest supporters will point out that he should have some gold around his waist by now. The Big Show. The Big Show in the past has been treated as the human equivalent of an unpinnable brick wall, but for the most part he has been mostly treated like a jobber to the stars. Now my problem with the Giant's career is that he is definitely a tremendous athlete and a rare gem that WWE never treated as well as they should have. And yes, I am focusing on modern times, so I am not talking about the Shokishi days. Ugh. In recent years, his constant turns have become a running gag amongst fans, and with his career at the end, if not over, and while I do absolutely love his matches with Braun Strowman, he is deserving of one last good run after his many years of service to the company. And while it might be fitting that his career in the WWE end with him being put through a cage wall after he made his WWF debut throwing Austin through one, he definitely deserved a pay-per-view send-off, if not a WrestleMania one. Nia Jax. While she may not be like most girls, she is still a victim of the poor booking that plagues most of the women's division in the WWE. Like Dana Brooke, Nia served as a goon for a heel champion in Alexa Bliss, and then Jax would seem to have finally made the turn, only for it to be treated as if it never happened. And currently, her odd romantic angle with Enzo Amore is just reducing this monster among women to be a flirty girl with pigtails who has a crush. Now, Nia might not be known for her chain, but she is more than believable as a major threat with the capability of crushing anyone in the division. And it's not just her fans who are frustrated with this, since she allegedly walked out of the company due to her own problems with her own creative direction. The Ascension. I hated this brutish tag team in NXT. I was so sick of watching these two squash team after team, but I did begrudgingly learn to accept them as a tag team of two human tanks. Then when they got to the main roster with barely any losses in NXT, I figured they would just be doing more of the same. However, then came their infamous Legion of Doom comments. Now, I do understand that it wasn't the most respectful thing to say, but but I do feel that they've suffered enough for it. They said it in order to set themselves up as heels, and when it worked, they got depushed for it. And not only that, but isn't this the scripted promo era? If fans and other wrestlers were offended by the statement, why should they be punished over something that someone else wrote? This comment was followed by the Ascension getting a beating at the hands of old tag teams, and they were never the same ever since. WWE now has them serving as a comedy act along with the Fashion Files, and I get that people like it, but this is definitely not the place for them. And if you remember a little while back when Kane and The Undertaker were taking on the Wyatts at Survivor Series, I was just hoping that the Brothers of Destruction were going to give the rub to the Ascension and bring them up to take on the Wyatt family in a traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Obviously, that never materialized. Rusev. As Roman Reigns marched towards his first Royal Rumble win, I sat in the crowd alongside Philadelphia wrestling fans rooting and cheering. However, the majority of the Philly crowd was begging for Rusev over Reigns. At the time, I said, Roman Reigns isn't worse than Rusev. My, how the tables have turned. Ever since Rusev lost his undefeated streak, he has only gotten better in the ring to me. Since then, he has proven that he is capable of doing something other than being stuck in constant squash mode and has actually begun to wrestle. He has started telling stories of the ring and has begun having a back and forth narrative. Now, he is no Lance Storm by any stretch of the imagination, but he has improved as a performer, where Reigns might have actually gotten worse. Rusev went from crushing guys like Jack Swagger and Mark Henry during his first US title run, even managing to beat John Cena, to the point where he is now where he can't even beat John Cena anymore. It seems that his career is going backwards, and I know people love the Rusev Day gimmick with Aiden English, and while it is fun, I can't stop wondering what things would have been like if his rumored push happened the way it was supposed to go down. Allegedly, Jinder Mahal's run as the anti-American heel champ was supposed to be Rusev's, which was supposedly the motivation behind his move to SmackDown in the first place and his feud with Randy Orton. Instead, we had to watch Randy Orton get punked out by Jinder Mahal only to have him squash Rusev in order to save face. Just imagine if things were the other way around. Would Rusev still be champion right now if the Bulgarian Brute had the belt instead? Braun Strowman. The monster among men is definitely one of the top draws in the WWE right now, and while he is getting booked as one of WWE's top guys, he's still not being booked as good as I think he should be. When Braun debuted with the Wyatts, I thought he was just another lunk ruining the dynamic of an already great faction. But as soon as he broke off onto his own, Braun easily showed me his ability. Despite starting his career only a few short years ago, Braun has shown to be capable on the mic, and if given an opponent who he can work with, who is closer to his size, he shows that he has a solid in-ring ability. Braun Strowman has amazed me time and time again, being one of my favorite guys in the company right now. He definitely should have taken the Universal title off of Brock Lesnar. He never should have lost any match to Roman Reigns, and I also don't like the inconsistencies on how he gets taken down. He somehow survives being crushed in a garbage truck, but takes a shot to the throat from Kane and he starts wheezing up the ramp. Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Braun's ability to keep his momentum going despite all of these major setbacks that would definitely end a lesser man's push just goes to show even more why Braun Strowman should be the top Raw wrestler and possibly the face of the entire company. Well, what do you think? Have these squash monsters earned your sympathy? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and this has been Dave Knows.